Hello, and welcome to week 9 of Technical Writing with Mr. Measle. So, this week we're going to be talking about creating data visualizations and creating infographics. The main difference between these is that a data visualization is generally simpler than an infographic. So technically an infographic can be anything all the way down to just like a bare bar graph, a pie chart, any kind of situation in which information is being displayed in a graphic. However, when we put data visualizations and infographics together in the same conversation, generally what happens is infographics are more complex. Often you have language and images being used together in order to capture someone's attention in order to convey maybe a more complex idea. Say, like, hey, are you trying to find out what the market for this particular job is like right now? Here's some different pieces of information you might need to know. Which one of these kinds of foods is the most nutritious for you? Here are some different pieces of information you might need to know. And in our situation, we'll be looking at the job market for technical writers. In creating these graphics, you have to be conscious of your audience and what it is they need to get out of them. Who are you creating the graphic for and why? Do you have an academic audience? Do you have a professional audience? Do you have an elderly audience? A colorblind audience? For all of these options, you have to consider appropriate stylistic approaches in order to communicate with them efficiently. So second, you need to choose the appropriate data visualization according to your purpose and the kind of information you're conveying. So Markle offers a chart on page 211 that highlights the benefits of different data visualizations. So pie charts are good for showing percentages, line graphs are good for showing changes in quantity over time, bar graphs are good for showing the relative values of two or more items, diagrams are good for identifying and explaining multiple parts of objects or mechanisms, and flowcharts are good for showing processes. Markle dedicates a brief section to tables. Tables are good for showing a lot of numerical information, but they don't do much in the way of efficient data visualization. They collect all of the data in one place, but being that it's still just spelled out, it takes longer to read. I don't find tables to be as efficient, but if you're trying to, for example, compare lots of different prices or lots of different salaries, for example, you need to see those numbers outright right next to you, and you want to see exactly what those numbers are rather than estimate them while you're like trying to read a bar graph or something like that, then it's more efficient. So next you need to make sure that you're designing your data visualizations efficiently. The Create Effective Pie Chart section on 222 to 223 is helpful with this concept. Consider the advice Markle is giving on how to make the graphic work efficiently. Notice how items are labeled. Labels in the legend wouldn't fit in the pie chart, so they are only in the legend. Percentages are large and easy to read, and they're always easy to associate with their respective sections of the pie chart. Colors in the legend directly respond with colors in the pie chart. Notice the pattern of percentages. It decreases as you move clockwise. So the more patterns that you can build into this, the more rhythms that you can build, the easier it is to read, the quicker it is to read, and the more intuitive it is for your audience. Now let's go ahead and look at a different kind of arrangement of language and images. So here you go. You get another image of this. This might be what you would do if you had a couple of pie charts that were real close together. You see what they've done is they've gone ahead and put the label for each section within here, and then the percentages also within that. But it's easy to tell which is which, and notice that they have specifically used different shades of green here to draw attention to different sections. So this is one situation in which it's okay to use colors that are really similar to each other, because you can see how there's a range of these, and there's a pattern as this green is getting lighter, and same with the orange. There's a pattern as the orange is getting lighter, and they've even taken out this little piece of the pie just a little bit to emphasize and to focus on it because it's the largest piece. And then down here with this diagram of this house, You see, since all these parts are being labeled, it would be way too busy to try and put all the language here, all the names of these items right here over the house, and they would be really hard to read because the background would keep changing. So all of those are down here at the bottom, which makes this just that much easier to read, that much quicker, that much more efficient. Notice that language is separated from the details of the image and set against a consistent background where it can be easily read. Don't let your language get in the way of your other vital information. This is one of the easiest ways that you can take what could have been a really efficient infographic and make it difficult for your audience to read and kind of turn them off. So next we need to talk about using color efficiently. You want to make sure that you vary your colors, but don't use too many. You don't want to cause information overload by making your graphic look too busy. Colors will classify objects and help your reader navigate the graphic just like other elements of arrangement and style. So use contrasting colors effectively. Use an effective color scheme. Don't pair colors that are very similar because this can be visually confusing. And normally that is the case, except for like how this is sort of stylistically done here. But this is done in such a way that these colors play off of each other and they create a visual pattern. But you see, there's no confusing this orange with this green over here. It's clear that these are part of two different infographics that are related. Or I'm not confusing defense with health, health with Social Security with income security. And more than that, I'm not confusing the green with the orange. Always make sure that your background color allows things on top of it like text to be read clearly and easily. And I was just pointing that out with how this text here sits on top of the brown background. If this got too much lighter, it might start to get hard to read the white, but it's really easy to read right now. And all of these numbers here, you see they've got the orange circles behind them. If they didn't have those might be harder to read too. And even if these were all black, you still wouldn't want them all sitting against different colors of background. And Markle reminds us too to take advantage of any symbolic meanings colors may have. You can be drawing from a really, really wide range of possibilities here. But even if you want to think about like cool and warm colors, right? How blue can be calming, green can be calming, red can be extremely alarming. But also like within the subject matter that you're addressing, what kinds of symbolic colors are there within that subject? It's something you want to ask yourself as you're putting it together, especially like if you're talking about sports teams, for example. If you're thinking of the Tigers, you're probably going to start thinking orange and purple. You would want to be careful and wise about how you use your color scheme and what colors you choose for your color scheme. Okay, so infographics. This item here alone, just the pie chart with the legend, might be a data visualization. There's something more that's added to it when we get this title, Why I Hate Infographics 197% of the time. We're not just trying to convey the information. We're trying to say something about the information, right? We're trying to relate to the audience in one way or another. Right, probably other people who understand why the creation or reading of infographics can be a very annoying process. But then I want you to see up here in this infographic of infographics image, you can actually have multiple data visualizations within a single infographic. And sometimes that's necessary for the author to convey the message that they need to convey. And this is something that's going to come up in your assignment, like how well are you able to manage multiple different data visualizations on the same page and sort of navigate through or help your reader to navigate from one to the next and then put them all into a larger context? What's going to be the point of interest? What is going to be your purpose? What heading are you going to put all of this under that sort of gives it shape and helps your audience to understand why all of these items are being presented in the same context? So as I said, some infographics only use one data visualization and others use several. They often incorporate language. Headings indicate the purpose of the infographic and are very helpful. Regardless, in especially effective infographics, text and graphics are combined to efficiently convey a particular message to the audience. So this is what I want to see in your infographic assignment. I don't want to just see the data visualizations. I want to see an effective heading, and I want to see language that helps your audience navigate that infographic and helps them to understand why the different pieces are significant. I don't want you to overload it with language. It needs to be more graphic heavy than language heavy, but certainly those graphics need to be supplemented with a little bit of language. Let's just go ahead and look at what's available for you in Canvas. Some sample infographics are available here in the module for weeks 9 to 10. Be sure to read the assignment closely. Use all of the data sets mentioned and don't use the same graphics that appear on the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. Create alternate kinds of data visualizations than those being used in the BLS for each item. So if you're looking at a bar graph for one item, don't create another bar graph in your infographic to represent the same information. Okay, so if you're looking at pay and you're looking at this bar graph here, you'll want to find another way to represent this exact same information without it showing up in a bar graph. And the same thing here. So if you're talking about this short chart here, you want to show it in terms of some other kind of data visualization. So I look forward to seeing your infographic drafts, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.